Hello everyone, Mark from Sluggo Drums here. In this video, we're going to be discussing controlling sticks. Now this is a little bit different than stick control. What we're talking about is players losing their sticks during a performance or even a practice or a rehearsal. Sticks flying out, maybe hitting a band member, or hopefully not, but maybe an audience member. There's a lot of reasons why this happens. Players not being able to relax properly. They're a little too frantic when they're playing. Maybe there's a little stage fright or anxiety happening. They're not breathing properly, and they're getting very tense when they play. They're probably even gripping the sticks too tight. That happens too. Worrying about losing a stick. So some players they'll grip way too tight, and that presents its own set of problems. You don't want to develop hand problems down the road from gripping too tight. In my earlier years, I used to get my hands would cramp up after a while right here. So I would go to this grip, and that would get me through the rest of the set. But there are solutions, so not to worry. But I think personally that the preparation starts early. Way before your gig or your job or your practice or rehearsal. The first thing I would say is try to steer away from crazy stretches. I've seen guys, they bend their fingers back and do all these crazy things with the sticks, and I don't really see what that does for you, except tax your tendons and your muscles. You don't want to hyperextend anything. If you get injured, it's going to be a problem, because then you're not going to be able to play properly. So that would be job one, is to stay away from. If you want to, rather than do extreme stretching, keep it simple and just play. Play single strokes slowly and allow the blood circulation to start, and you'll benefit greatly from that. You got to get your muscles and your tendons warm, and the best exercise for that is actually playing. So that's one. Number two would be to hydrate. Make sure you're getting your fluids, because if you're not, that can cause muscle cramping as well. And water's good. Maybe some Gatorade or Powerade, but make sure you have a little water before you start, and maybe keep a bottle around to sip between songs, and see what your body needs on a personal level. You'll see how much fluid you can handle. You don't have to have 3 or 4 bottles of water at once, but just sip periodically, and you should be fine. The next thing is to mentally prepare for a performance or a practice. You got to get yourself in the right headspace. You need to relax. It should be fun. Even a practice, it should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful on you. You need to get into a good headspace for that, and that'll help tremendously. You'll play better. The benefits will be far-reaching. Make sure you're breathing. A lot of guys. I mean, I've been guilty of it myself. I remember in my early years hyperventilating on stage. I just couldn't catch my breath. I wouldn't breathe properly, and it took a while to get out of it, but I did. You should do some breathing exercises before a performance, and that's going to help you get into that good mental headspace to play. Breathe through your nose and out your mouth. Hold it, let it out easy. As far as these sticks, if you're holding them too tight, if you're crimping really tight, rather than continue to do that, perhaps try to go one size larger. Maybe if you're playing, say, a 7A, maybe you could try a 5A for a while. If you're playing a 5A, maybe go to a 5B. That your 5B you start to get into more of the rock model of drumsticks. But try different sticks because you might find that you can relax your grip a little bit. There's so many models to choose from. You could spend almost a whole day or more in a music store just going through different sticks, and maybe that's not a bad idea. I mean, I seem to do this every year. I decide that I'm gonna switch my sticks or look for potential new models to use. There's 5A, 5B, 2B, 7A, 3A, 3B. There's all sorts of things out there. There's different wood types. Most common would be probably hickory. And if you're looking for a fast drumstick, you could probably try maple. It's lighter weight and less dense, and it's really good for fast playing. And if you like playing a lighter stick, there are oak sticks as well, but just keep in mind you're going to be swinging a little extra weight around. They're a bit heavier, even though you can get them in the same models. A 5B oak is going to be a little bit heavier than a 5B hickory, so just bear that in mind. Wood tip, nylon tip. A lot of guys like the nylon tip for a couple reasons. Number one, it accentuates the cymbals. You get a brighter sound out of the cymbals, especially if your cymbals are on the dark side, sound in the sound spectrum. Also, sometimes wood wears down, and the nylon tips might last a bit longer. Matter of fact, some guys will use a nylon tip in their ride hand, whatever hand they're riding with, and in their other hand, whether it be left or right, their backbeat hand, they'll use wood. And it's okay to be asymmetrical. It's okay to have two. I mean, I've played shows where I've had a 5A in my right hand because I like the sound of the cymbals a little better, and a 5B in my left because I needed a little bit of heavier backbeat, a little more emphasis on the snare drum, and that worked fine. When you do a fill, nobody can really tell that you have two different sticks. Another thing you can try to keep them from slipping, grip-wise, there's a number of grip tapes out there available. If budget is a concern, you could also try sanding them down, sanding the grip down, and that usually helps the grip area. What you could also do, I'm looking for this stick. Oh, here we go. Okay, I've used this method for years. I've just wrapped a rubber band, and one will do it. Or if you want to go 2 or 3 or 4, that's fine. But this seems to be just enough to keep them from slipping. You'll have no problem there. And if all else fails, I've even heard of guys that I only found out about this a few years ago. Guys, some players will use Dr. Pepper, spray a little on the hand, and it makes their hand sticky, and that kind of they use that as a grip. So, and you have a refreshing beverage to drink as well while you're playing. So, there's also I'll get into this in another video, but just real quickly, get to some bullet points of stick grips. There is, as many of you know, there's German, French, American, which is sort of a hybrid between the two. Alternate grip, as I had spoke of before, traditional, and your other hand can use one of the other grips we just named. And it's very easy to switch from traditional to matched. That's all it takes. And if you need a heavier backbeat, you'll be using the butt end with that move, unless you have time to switch. And this works out pretty well. So there's that. And I think with all these things combined, I think you'll definitely be able to alleviate this stick spinning out of control. Speed is a great thing to have. There's nothing wrong with it. Having a lot of power is a great thing to have too. But without control, it may not be as effective. So just something to bear in mind. It's definitely okay to carry more than one drumstick, more than one model in your stick bag or your backpack or whatever you're using at the time. I'll show you the one I carry around to studios. That's quite an array. It's a little excessive, but I wanted something to use that I could take with me to studio dates where I'd have pretty much everything covered, every situation. There's there's mallets, timbali sticks of different size, weight, and wood type. So, and some I've wrapped up pretty thick because I have pretty big hands, so this has helped. Matter of fact, another thing to keep in mind if you're on a gig or a job, what will really help you out is start off the night with your regular model and keep one or two, maybe a medium weight. If you're using a lightweight stick, start off with that. Maybe get a medium and maybe a heavyweight stick, and gradually, as the night wears on, you might find you get a little hand fatigue, and if that happens, you can switch to a bigger model, and at that point, the stick's doing the work for you. You don't have to grip so hard, because it does happen. I mean, matter of fact, there are some sticks that are dipped in rubber that help out. But it does happen. It happens to me, and it could happen to anybody during the night. You playing, especially if you're playing hard, heavier types of music. You might get a little hand fatigue happening, and when you switch to a bigger model, it alleviates a lot of the problems. It's easier to grip the stick. It's easier to get a good sound out of the drum, and you're not working so hard. So we're about ready to wrap it up here. Let's just review very quickly the preparation. Remember the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So to me, the prep starts beforehand, way beforehand, before you even hit the stage, or you even go to band practice. So Make sure that instead of crazy stretching, just play, just warm up naturally. Single strokes is fine. Some double rolls if you can do it. But again, try to avoid really these. I hate to emphasize this so much, but I've seen some crazy stretches, and I cannot believe that does anybody any good. And make sure you hydrate, and get yourself before you leave the house to go to a practice or a job. Get yourself in a good headspace. Breathe. Get some oxygen in you. Mentally prepare yourself to perform, and visualize a good experience, and that'll go a long way to getting you where you want to go. Again, try some different sticks. Don't be afraid to experiment. You might find a better model than what you're currently using. So don't worry about if you happen to stumble upon a different kind of grip or a very different stick or a different stick combination. You do your own thing. Don't worry about what anybody says about that. Sometimes we have to blaze our own trail, and that's fine. That's okay. I totally back you on that. So we'll wrap this up. We'll be doing more discussions on sticks and different related subjects in the future. Okay. So in the meantime, happy drumming. I hope you're all doing well, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. See ya.